So this is going to introduce you to the Hero's Forge zone, which you can enter from Laurion's End. Certainly, there's a zone entry there. It's a tier 2 zone right now, as far as I know, and it's got a number of mercenary tasks that are easy to do and give you experience. It's also a good way to get your beta tokens. You can repeat these mercenary tasks over and over and get as many beta tokens as you need fairly quick. Each of the 3 tasks, you kill 5 mobs, 5 reborn wizards, 5 reborn warriors, and 5 reborn berserkers, and you get 1 beta token for each of those mercenary tasks. And I don't know how many you need to get the illusion, but I think it's probably somewhere between 1 and 10. So you can knock out the tokens that you need fairly quickly with these. This is the zone. This is the quest giver for the 3 mercenary tasks. There's another quest that is in the mines. I haven't done that yet. The experience I got from mobs in Laurion's Inn was beyond pathetic. You just can't grind experience anymore on those mobs, not unless you're talking about spending 1,000 hours doing it. I was getting 0.094% per mob, and that's just ridiculous. And I really think it's sad, because I love that you can get good experience through progression tasks and through the mercenary tasks, doing quests. That's great. But I also think that a lot of people who've been playing this game for 20 some odd years like to log on after work and just, kind of grind mobs. They're not trying to do anything hard, complicated. It's boring, but it's therapeutic. It's peaceful to just get in there and kill mobs and make a little progression. I think that you should have both pathways open. One is to get experience through quests, and that's fun and progression, but also you should be able to get decent experience grinding mobs. And personally, I think the experience should be sort of set like a level 100 heroic tune, in that difficulty, because it has to be set for group geared people who are gearing up, people who are not hardcore, who just play this game because it's fun and it's a little relaxation. I'm getting a lot of complaints from people I talk to who are just like, I cannot get a group and I can't grind experience anymore. There's no way to level up unless you're doing overseer, and that's what people say. That's ridiculous. Nobody wants to do that. That's not a fun game. That's just a sheer grind. And people say, well, what about killing hundreds of mobs? That's boring. Well, to each his own. I personally have been kiting mobs and killing masses of mobs for decades now, and I enjoy it. I also enjoy doing progression. I enjoy doing quests. I enjoy doing raids. Don't kill one part of the game to make us do something that you think we should be doing. That's just my opinion. I kind of think that you should be able to, if you put in 60 hardcore hours, you should be able to go from up 5 levels, whatever is the next, 120 to 125. 60 hardcore hours of grinding mobs should be able to do it, or 60 hours of doing progression should be able to do it. Don't take one from each of us. In this case, what I'm doing is killing these reborn wizards. You could get this task over and over, at least right now in beta. And so I guess that's a way of grinding mobs. And if they keep giving you experience for redoing it, I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to the experience. I'm almost 121 on this character. So I will level up soon through doing quests and progression. But certainly I'm not leveling up through killing mobs. The experience is just so ridiculously bad. And I don't think the difficulty for group content should be set for what challenges a raider. Maybe the tier 2 zones, the last mission, that can be difficult. There can be certain interesting tasks, but the game has to be geared towards, in the group content, it has to be geared towards casual players. When it comes to raid, make it hard. That's different. Raiding is raiding, and raiders need to have their challenge, and I think that's fine. I ran into this in a game called Lost Ark that I was playing a little bit, where the only way to progress was to do these 8-man raids, which essentially means you have to get 8 people to do the content, to learn the content, and spend a lot of time at it. There was no way, no path really for someone who does 4-man content or just wants to solo to progress. And at a certain point, if you're not willing to play the game the way they want you to play the game, you quit. And that's what our group did in Lost Ark. That's my 1 day a week to play for a couple hours. We got to the point where we couldn't progress, and so we started looking for a new game, and lo and behold, I said, I kind of know a game that has a ton of content that we won't run out and that we can do free to play for at least as long as we want. And so hopefully we'll be playing EverQuest and slowly leveling up with our little 5-man crew. But Heroes Forge, a nice zone, a pretty zone. It's got, the mobs are well spread out. You will get an occasional one ad, and I just boot that with Pestilent Paralysis. But, if any kind of crowd control of any sort, you'll be able to handle that. Or if you want to avoid getting that ads, just pull the mob in a place where you won't have a wanderer come by. As I said, for each of these mercenary tasks, you need to kill 5 of these mobs, and then you will get some experience. Can you repeat it and get experience? I don't know the answer. Probably somebody else does. I'm repeating this right now just to get the beta tokens because it's a very easy, cheesy way to get the beta tokens. By the way, this video is just going to be me killing a wizard, killing a berserker, killing a warrior, and then I will run through the zone to show you some stuff. I killed some other mobs there, but I don't think I show you. And then we get a named in the group. Right now, there was a lunch break or dinner break or something like that, and so I was just going around making content. But earlier we killed a name, and I'm going to put that, it's called Battleforged. Wasn't a particularly difficult name, and I got 2 pieces of gear that I will show you. And I'm going to try and include chapter marks so you can just go to whatever you want to see. You don't have to listen to this whole video and me rambling and complaining about the way experience is right now, but I am complaining. I really think that the model they need to go to is what can 2 people accomplish with their 2 mercenaries in a reasonable period of time. It's very difficult on the live servers for people to get these full groups unless they're boxing. And I don't think we should gear the game towards the boxers, and I don't think we should gear the group game towards the raiders. I think it needs to be geared towards partners who can go out and accomplish tasks. And if you want the missions to be a full group type situation generally, that's great. Fine, do that. But the mercenary task should be able to be accomplished by 2 people with their 2 mercenaries. To put it in perspective, the mobs in Laurion's Inn were having somewhere between 67 and 71 million experience points. So to kill that mob in 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 135 seconds, you've got to be doing around 500,000 DPS. Most group geared people, that's almost a full group to be doing that kind of DPS. And to spend 2 minutes and 15 seconds on each mob and get 0.094% experience, you're not You're just never going to progress. It's ridiculous. And it's hard for, if you're having trouble killing these mobs, think about the mercenary task where you're going to kill a certain number of them. That's ridiculous. If you make them less hit points or do less damage, and these hit hard. I mean, I grouped up with somebody who was complaining that, it was very hard for him to solo any of these mobs. And I do a ridiculous amount of damage because, a necromancer is pure DPS, and I'm at the later stages. But it shouldn't be geared so that somebody like me can take these out solo. It should be geared so that somebody, a couple people who do about 250,000 hit points, DPS, can reasonably progress in the game and have fun doing it. I'm complaining, I'm complaining, I'm complaining, but I'm getting tired of people who come back to this game and want to enjoy it and are finding it's very difficult to do unless they want to A, box, B, raid, or C, they've got a group of friends. And I do say I find it very easy to get groups because I make groups and I join guilds. I'm maybe not the most social person, but I just don't have a problem putting together groups, and I like to carry people. I'm not worried. If you're in my group, let's have fun. I don't care if you're doing a lot of DPS or not, or if you have to go AFK to take care of your kid or your baby or whatever, do it. This is just a social thing for me. I want to get in and have fun, and I make my characters as hardcore as I can, partly because then I can occasionally carry people through content that might be more difficult otherwise. And I feel like this game is maybe losing a little bit of that. They need to be, really thinking about what someone who's just logging on and doesn't want to spend, hundreds of hours getting thousands, tens of thousands of AAs. What is it? I've got over 60,000 AAs on my Necromancer now. And honestly, I've kind of given up leveling and AAing my other tunes. They're all in the sort of 115 category. I've got my Shadow Knight is 120, and I've got maybe somebody else is 120, but it's it just got away from me because I either have to box, and I'm not enjoying that so much anymore, so I don't, or so that means I'm grinding one tune at a time, not six tunes, and I can't. I'm just not going to level 30 tunes anymore probably, and that was part of my fun. But you'd have to do progression, and it's complicated to box unless I'm not using IS Boxer. I have in the past, and that was way. But then I've got two screens, and I'm tabbing between. It got to be too complicated for me. Which is why I like the model of I can definitely box two or three tunes at once. And probably if I go back to boxing, that'll be what I'll do. I find, get a mage and a bard and a shadow knight or whatever, or a shaman, whatever, any three tunes, I can make that work. So I'm just running through this zone here and exploring it a little bit, give you a sense of what it's like. This is supposedly a tier 2 zone. Again, the mobs all tend to be snareable, bootable. Um, I haven't run into any summoning. Maybe the named was a summoner. I don't know, and you'll see how that fight went. But again, that was just you know tank and spank. I've got 25 minutes of content here. Like I said, I'll put some chapter index in so you can skip to the stuff that you guys want to watch. I will stop talking now. So this is a named we stumbled across, Battleforged, and decided to go ahead and kill it. Wasn't particularly difficult. It had 300 million hit points. That is a lot of hit points. And I had been using my burns on an as we went basis to kind of speed things up. So I was very low mana, I was low burns, and this is a pickup group I got into. You'll see the what he drops. Again, this is supposed to be a tier 2 zone, so I'm assuming this will be tier 2 gear. That's all I know at this point. Nothing too fancy, just a lot of hit points. I'm still 120 on my Necro, and I believe this is a 125 berserker. I mean, a beast lord. Apologize. And I don't know anything about gear or whatever, but I'm sure it's perhaps beta buffed. I don't know. Yeah, I think it came out as 297 million hit points to kill this mob. So it's just a grind because it's not a complicated mob. And as you see, there's really no ads around. There's no summoning. So this whole zone is probably designed to let people come in and do some quests and gear up. Yeah, I don't know what it'll end up being like when it actually goes live, but at the moment there's not a lot of challenging. By the way, you'll want to use Invis when you're coming down here because when you're coming down, there are a lot of mobs on the way that would aggro. I know this because I forgot to use Invis and I died very, very quickly. So this video is meant to introduce you to Heroes Forge, a new beta zone in Laurion's Song expansion, and I apologize if I came across as a little negative. I'm enjoying the game, I just am frustrated with what they've done with experience for killing mobs. When I was camping and named in Laurion's Inn, I just stopped bothering. You know, usually I pull as many mobs as I can as I try and wait for the placeholders. But I stopped doing that because what's the point with that amount of experience? Instead, I just pulled the placeholder, killed the 2 mobs that I needed to kill to spawn a named, and watched TV and did other things because there was no benefit to me in just grinding out mobs at this point. I'd like to get 0.5% experience, you know, not less than 0.1%. Or is it even that? It's 0.095%. That is just ridiculous. That's not even 10% of a... So if you kill... Oh my gosh, that's a lot of mobs you have to kill. I was trying to figure it out if you're doing 500,000 DPS, which is a very high DPS casual group. I mean, it's very high if you're just a casual player. If you're killing a mob every 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which, you know, that's in a very good... You have to be in a good group to do that, and you're still getting nowhere. You know, you're not going to level in 10 hours or 50 hours. And that's ridiculous. They're forcing you to play a certain form of the game, which I enjoy, progression. But you shouldn't have to play progression to progress your character. Again, whine. I'm sorry. It's just a little frustrating. I will talk to you guys later, and I hope this video was a little bit helpful, a little bit interesting. Bye.